it is that we have a superiority complex and lacking knowledge. And I think what you're going to find is that those two things are intricately connected. It's difficult to have a superiority complex if you don't lack knowledge. You follow? In other words, if you don't know what you don't know, well, then you think you know everything, and then that becomes a superiority complex. And this isn't just from, we oftentimes tie this to young people, but it really, really, really is not. Older people can almost be just as bad, because older people can shut it down when they think that they know everything. So, for example, I mean, I don't know if any of you know an older person who says things like, "I've seen it all." You know, I used to know a lot of people in life, especially older people, who would say, "Man, I've seen it all, man. I've been there. There's really nothing that can surprise me." And if you really think that, of course, then nothing can surprise you, because you won't open yourself up to ever be surprised. You won't put yourself in a position to see things any differently. It's like if you're a person who says, "Oh man, eventually everybody leaves you. Everybody leaves." Think about how you now behave. You behave in a way that now pushes people away from you. And then when people finally get tired of your shit and then they walk away, you're like, "See, I knew it. Exactly like I always said." Well, if you believe that that's going to be the case, then of course you're going to push everybody away. Who wants to be around a person who acts like that? Very few people. And some people can tolerate it for longer, of course, but nobody wants to stay around a person like that. And then, again, it just kind of confirms what you think, but in actuality, it's not really confirming anything. It's creating this situation that allows you to always be right. And so the funny thing is that it's when you say something like that, it's absolutely true more about yourself than anybody else. You're the one repelling people. And so there are lots of ways that we can be ignorant. We tend to associate it with this idea of a superiority complex. You know, people who are ignorant just think that they know everything. Perhaps, because, as we say, you don't know what you don't know. And so if you are ignorant of what you don't know, you might think that you know everything. I've talked about that in this class, haven't I? Yeah, so it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect says that people who are the most competent tend to rate themselves as being like about average or a little bit above average. People who are the least competent tend to rate themselves as being the most competent in their fields. They're the best at whatever it is that they do. Well, if you really do believe that you're the best, then you're not going to work as hard at getting better, because you're going to think, "I'm already the best." And then therefore you won't get any better. And if you think you know everything, then there's nothing for you to learn. So you'll stay stagnant. But then you're going to believe, but if you continue to believe that about yourself, well then how is it that everybody else keeps surpassing you if you're so much better than everybody? It's because my boss is just a jerk, he's jealous, people are just haters. You're going to find all kinds of excuses to build in why people surpass you. Or you're going to deny that they're surpassing you at all. You're going to think, "No, I'm better than them, I'm better than that." Or, referees cheat, that's why. That's why we lose stuff. And people will genuinely believe that. That's the hard thing to break down about it, though. Even if you show people evidence to the contrary, people aren't really motivated by evidence. You've heard before that Ben Shapiro says facts don't care about your feelings. You've heard that before? Here's another truth about life. Feelings don't care about your facts. We forget that it goes both ways. If you can come in and give people facts all day long, and people will be saddened by it, and they'll say, "It doesn't matter how you feel about it, this is the truth." People won't care about that. If they're made sad by that, they'll ignore it. The feelings don't care about the facts either. It goes both ways. You forget that. Whichever one's better, I don't know. I'll leave that to you to determine for yourself. But we can be ignorant the point is that we can be ignorant for lots of reasons. It isn't just that we think that we're better, well, although that is a big one. That is a big one right there. But also, you just kind of lack knowledge. Why do you lack knowledge? I asked that question a minute ago. How many of you all in here are ignorant about something? Someone tell me something you're ignorant about. Someone tell me, what's the speed of light? How fast is it in kilometers? None of you know? Ignorant. You are all ignorant of the speed of light in kilometers. What's the exact mass of Earth? Oh my God, you live here. You don't know that? Okay, so you're ignorant about that. In fact, the things that you are ignorant about in life are enormous. But we also recognize that this word, we don't typically use it to just mean that you lack knowledge. That's what it means. But we typically use it in a very negative way. Oh, you're just ignorant of this, you're ignorant of that. Yeah, we're ignorant about a lot of things. Now the question is, are you trying to limit your ignorance by trying to learn things? You know, superiority, yes. Lack knowledge, that's a big one too. Also, I mean, how many of you have ever stopped to investigate the mass of Earth? Okay, so maybe you've never had an occasion to. You've never had to, so therefore you wouldn't know something like that. There's lots of reasons. Now, that's an important thing to keep in mind about ourselves. The question, of course, then becomes, what is it that you do with it? If maybe you just don't care about the mass of Earth, but that's a dangerous, I shouldn't say dangerous. Yeah, why not? Screw it. We'll talk in hyperbole. It's a dangerous way to go, because now you can dismiss anything you don't know as, I don't care about that. And then if you don't care about stuff, that kind of just piles up over life, and there's all kinds of things that now you can kind of just justify because of not just a superiority complex, but now, of course, the inverse, which is what? I just asked you to see if you were paying attention. Nobody in here is. That's an obvious answer. What's the opposite of superiority? Inferior. See, I asked it a second time, and now you know, because now you're hearing. Inferiority. That's another one that can cause us to be ignorant. If you see your ignorance as a weakness, as a sign of inferiority, it's easier for us to just cross our arms, just, I don't care. I didn't care anyway. It's like when someone loses something. I wasn't even trying anyway. That's this, right here. I only lost because the refs are, whatever, biased. The refs got paid off. That's why I lost. They just don't like me. This is the other side of it all. I wasn't even trying. Who cares? Inferiority. You never thought you could win in the first place. If you didn't think you could win, why are you there? Of course. And that's true about, a lot of things in life. Even like when we say, think about a classroom. Why are we here? Well, I have to be. Nobody has to be here. Nobody has to be here. So why are we? No, people make us. Oh, is that what you do? You just dance for the man all day long? People crack the whip and you just do what you're told? If that's the case, then why don't you get an A in the class? It's pretty easy to do. Simple to do. Like whoever's making you, imagine if whoever's making you was standing right next to you while you were behaving the way that you do in a class. Would they be still happy with you? Would they sit there and go, well, at least you're here, and be happy with that? Of course not. So it's a weird thing. It's like we're fulfilling half of a promise. I'll go, but you can't make me do nothing. I like your boots, by the way. I keep looking for new boots in that color. That's why they keep distracting me. Anyway, so superiority, inferiority. Now, if you remember back to Aristotle's doctrine of the mean, we don't want to exist in either of these two extremes. We want to be somewhere in the middle. You're not the best, you're not the worst. You're somewhere in the middle, probably. That's funny. Actually, out of 7 billion people, think about it. Somebody actually is the worst. You ever think about that? Like, anybody here likes to play basketball? I don't know. Like, maybe you're not very good, but there actually is somewhere in the world the worst player in the world. Imagine if you could find out who that person was. No. All right, anyway. The good news is it's probably not you. And if it is, I don't know, man. That's remarkable also. That makes you pretty cool also, to be the worst in the world out of actually now 8 billion people, to be the worst at something. So now, as I'm talking to you, talk sense to a fool, and he calls you a foolish. Why do they think you're foolish? Because they just don't know any better. They just don't know any better. Now again, by foolish, we could be referring to people who are intentionally ignorant, or people who are just happen to be ignorant. If they're intentionally ignorant, of course, they call you a fool. That's because they're trying, I guess either way, if inferiority or superiority, if they're calling you a fool, they're trying to put you down because either they think that they're way better than you, or they know that they're not, so they're trying to put you down either way. But there's something else going on there. They also just might not know any better. You ever have an argument with a 5-year-old before?
Yeah.
Grow up, man. He's 5 years old. You ever try to argue with a 5-year-old before, or a 7-year-old, or an 8-year-old, or whatever? Yeah. And then at the end, they're like, "Oh my God, you're so dumb," or they're trying to somehow they really are convinced they know more than you. Why do they know more than you? Because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that there's a whole world of knowledge out there. Their frame of reference is so limited. Now, when a 5-year-old thought did he think he was smarter than you? How did it end?
He losing, me winning.
Was that?
He losing, me winning.
Did he know that he lost?
No.
Ah. So he didn't know what he didn't know. Did you get angry with him?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh my God, why? He's a 5-year-old.
Still.
That's an important thing, by the way, because that's about how it is that you respond to things like that. If a 5-year-old finishes the argument and is like, ooh, I win. Does it make you mad? Because you got to prove it to him? Does the opinion of a 5-year-old matter so much to you? I don't know. By the way, I asked that question and we laughed at it, and I guarantee like 3/4 of us would be like, little son of a bitch, I'm going to prove him right. I don't know, man. I got this kid at my gym who keeps jumping on my back when I'm not looking, trying to submit me, trying to tap me out. She's like a 7th grader, I think, something like that. Yeah, it's a she. What do I do to her? I beat her up. Yeah, I slam her on the ground and crank her arm. And then she just taps. Oh, she's not done just yet. She has a little more room to go right there. I choked her the other day, and she almost passed out. She went like, and then she like went out like this, and I woke her up and stood her up. You know what happens when you do that? They fall right back down. It's funny as shit. You should see it. And she's like, well, what happened? I said, what happened is you jumped on the wrong person's back. Why am I doing this? Because someday I won't be able to do this to her, because she's going to be really, really good. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to remind her, remember all those times I made you pass out? I ain't forgotten either. Do I feel good about myself?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
It's fun.
She's going to be really good someday. And right now I can do it easily. Someday I won't be able to. You know, sometimes you'll see us that we react in extreme ways. Maybe if the 5-year-old is making us angry, maybe there's something there that makes us feel bad also. I don't know. I don't know why it is that we want the accolades of a 5-year-old. The 5-year-old doesn't know any better. So why would you want the praise of someone who doesn't know any better? Would you rather have the praise of somebody who knows you and applauds you for being a good person? Or would you rather have the applause of strangers because you're thinking that you're a good person? See the difference there? The person who knows you're a good person and the people who think you're a good person. Could you be a real miserable piece of shit and people just adore you and think you're fantastic? Of course. We vote for them all the time. And can you be somebody, now the question is, can somebody know you, actually know you, and really know you, and think that you're a good, know that you're a good person? I hope so. I hope so. Maybe. I don't know. I guess the question is, who would it be better for us to get accolades from if it was real? If it was real. So, talk sense to the fool, he'll call you foolish just because they don't know. They just don't know what they don't know. Maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's this, but none of these are going to be a good enough reason to move us, maybe. Questions? Comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? I like that was very abstract. I feel bad. I keep saying, go watch first period. I don't want to keep doing that. I want to tell first period to go watch fifth.